I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear.
I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Mr. President.
The golden age of America begins right now. For American citizens, January 20th, 2025 is Liberation Day.
Donald Trump was elected as President of the United States of America amid turbulent times for the world at large.
I will very simply put America first.
There is a war raging in Ukraine following the Russian invasion in February 2022. And there is the conflict in the Middle East between Israel and Hamas, which is currently in the midst of a fragile ceasefire.
Well, I would say this, and I'm going to let that be because that's Israel's decision, but as far as I'm concerned, if all of the hostages aren't returned by Saturday at 12 o'clock, I think it's an appropriate time. I would say cancel it and all bets are off and let hell break out. I'd say they ought to be returned by 12 o'clock on Saturday, and if they're not returned, all of them, not in drips and drabs, not 2 and 1 and 3 and 4 and 2. Saturday at 12 o'clock, and after that, I would say all hell is going to break out.
הערב אביא לאישור הקבינט מתווה להפסקת אש בלבנון. משך הפסקת האש תלוי במה שיתרחש בלבנון. בהבנה מלאה עם ארצות הברית, אנחנו שומרים על חופש פעולה צבאי מלא. אם חיזבאללה יפר את ההסכם וינסה להתחמש, אנחנו נתקוף. אם הוא ינסה לחדש תשתיות טרור בסמוך לגבול, אנחנו נתקוף.
So how was Trump expected to approach these two critical issues amid a whole host of others after he became president?
My proudest legacy will be that of a peacemaker and unifier. That's what I want to be, a peacemaker and a unifier. I'm pleased to say that as of yesterday, one day before I assumed office, the hostages in the Middle East are coming back home to their families.
The United States has often considered itself as a voice for democracy across the globe. At one stage, it had arrogated to itself the responsibility of being a leader of the free world. When the United States invaded Iraq in March 2003, it was not only done with the intention of deposing Saddam Hussein, but it was also intended to bring democracy to the country, which George W. Bush, the then US president, hoped would have a ripple effect in the rest of the Middle East. But there is a vast difference in the Republican administrations of George W. Bush and Donald Trump. It appears that Trump is more keen on disentanglement than entanglement. Some would call this an isolationist approach, but Trump is quite keen on ensuring that America's domestic interests are not overridden by foreign policy considerations that may embroil it in conflicts that detract from its more immediate priorities. This was evident when he met Volodymyr Zelensky, the president of Ukraine, in the White House towards the end of February.
Why don't you wear a suit? Why don't you wear a suit? You're at the highest level in this country's office and you refuse to wear a suit. Just want to see if do you own a suit?
Yeah, problems.
A lot of Americans have problems with you not
Really?
respecting the dignity of this office.
I will wear a costume after this war will finish.
Okay.
Yes, maybe one.
Maybe something
like yours.
sir.
Yes.
That'd be great.
Maybe something better. I don't know.
Yeah.
We will see. Maybe something cheaper than yeah.
Things escalated quickly, and what we saw was a very rare instance of two elected presidents having a go at each other in full glare of the media and the rest of the world. Trump told Zelensky that the Ukrainian president did not hold any cards and that he should push for an immediate ceasefire. This is contrary to the approach that Trump's predecessor Joe Biden had taken, where the continued arming of Ukraine was key to Russia's containment.
of questions. Let's start from the beginning.
Sure.
First of all, during the war, everybody has problems. Even you, but you have nice ocean and don't feel now, but you will feel it in the future. God bless.
You don't know that.
God bless.
You don't
God
know that.
bless. You
Don't-
will not
you
have
gotta-
a war.
Don't tell us what we're going to feel. We're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because
I'm
you're in no
answering on this
position to
question.
dictate that.
That's
Remember
exactly what
this.
I'm not
You're
dictating.
in no position to dictate what we're going to feel.
You
We're
will-
going to feel very
you will
good.
feel influence.
We're going to feel very
I'm
good and
telling
very
you,
strong.
You will feel influence.
You're right now not in a very good position. You've allowed
From the
yourself
very-
to be in a
from
very
the very
bad position,
beginning
and he
of the
happens
war.
to be right about
From
it.
the very beginning of the war.
You're not
Mr.
in a
Brown,
good position.
I
You don't
was
have
in
the cards right now. With us, you start
I'm
having
not playing
cards.
cards.
But right now, you
I'm
don't.
very
Yeah, you're
serious,
playing cards.
Mr. President.
You're
I'm
playing
very
cards.
serious.
You're
I'm
gambling
the
with the
president
lives
in
of
war.
millions of people.
You think-
You're gambling with World War
What do you-
III.
what do you
You're
think about?
gambling with
What do you
World
think
War
about?
III. And
You-
what you're doing is very disrespectful to the country, this country. It's
with
back
all
to you.
respect to your
Far
country.
more than a lot of people said
very
they
respect.
should have.
Does Russia view the kind of developments that have taken place and, of course, what has happened since?
Well, if we speak about that particular meeting, I would say it would have been amusing had it not been about the lives of the people. Simply put, Zelensky basically came to Washington and said that he was prepared for peace. But first, Russia needs to withdraw. Military and financial aid to Ukraine should continue. And there should be security guarantees provided for Ukraine. Obviously, this position contradicted to what the U.S. approach is at the moment, and I believe one should not be surprised that Trump was disappointed with that position articulated by Zelensky. Needless to say, all these demands are unacceptable to Russia.
Right.
But Trump announced a freeze of military aid to Ukraine, and Zelensky would later, on the social media platform X and elsewhere, appear more conciliatory and amenable to a ceasefire, but with security guarantees.
Earlier today, I received an important letter from President Zelensky of Ukraine. The letter reads, Ukraine is ready to come to the negotiating table as soon as possible to bring lasting peace closer. Nobody wants peace more than the Ukrainians, he said. My team and I stand ready to work under President Trump's strong leadership to get a peace that lasts. We do really value how much America has done to help Ukraine maintain its sovereignty and independence. Regarding the agreement on minerals and security, Ukraine is ready to sign it at any time that is convenient for you. I appreciate that he sent this letter, just got it a little while ago. Simultaneously, we've had serious discussions with Russia and have received strong signals that they are ready for peace. Wouldn't that be beautiful? It's time to stop this madness. It's time to halt the killing. It's time to end this senseless war. I had a meeting today, as you know, with President Zelensky, and I would say it didn't work out exactly great from his standpoint. I think he very much overplayed his hand. We're looking for peace. We're not looking for somebody that's going to sign up a strong power and then not make peace because they feel emboldened, and that's what I saw happening. I'm looking for peace. We're not looking to go into a 10-year war and play games. We want peace. And it was just my impression that if we do that, if we sign up, he's looking for something that I'm not looking for. He's looking to go on and fight, fight, fight. We're looking to end the death. 2,000 people died this week. Soldiers, more than that, but 2,000 approximately people died this week. Young Ukrainians and Russians. Now, if we don't do anything, he's going to have to make peace, but he's dealing with a very weak set of cards. If we sign, he's dealing with a very strong set of cards, and then he doesn't want to make peace. So that's where we are. It's very simple. I'm not looking to get into anything protracted. I want immediate peace. President Putin is going to want to make, and he wants to end it. And you saw what I saw today. This is a man that wants to get us signed up and keep fighting, and we're not doing that. Not for this country.
But what this has led to is a divergence of views between the Trump administration and Western Europe. Governments aligned to both the right and left in Western Europe appear to be very much in favor of continued assistance to Ukraine. Whether this is Keir Starmer of the United Kingdom, or Emmanuel Macron of France, or the likely new Chancellor of Germany, Friedrich Merz, among others.
To strengthen our relationship with America, an indispensable partners in defence and security. And it's why this weekend I've been hosting European leaders here in London to work together for the security of the United Kingdom, Ukraine, and Europe as a whole. Through my discussions over recent days, we've agreed that the UK, France, and others will work with Ukraine on a plan to stop the fighting. Then we'll discuss that plan with the United States. Our starting point must be to put Ukraine in the strongest possible position now, so that they can negotiate from a position of strength. And we are doubling down in our support. Yesterday evening, the UK signed a £2.2 billion loan to provide more military aid to Ukraine.
C'est-à-dire que compte tenu de la menace et quoi qu'il advienne en Ukraine, nous avons besoin d'augmenter nos capacités de défense et nous avons besoin de bâtir, sur les quelques années qui viennent, des capacités de défense autonomes pour les Européens.
Merci Monsieur le Président. Francesco Fontemaggi pour l'agence France Presse. Vous avez évoqué cette réunion.
Ce sont maintenant des décisions qui marquent sur le plan de la défense un passage à l'action. Avec l'emprunt de 150 milliards d'euros de la Commission garanti sur le budget de l'Union, les États membres pourront se voir prêter aux meilleures conditions du marché des financements qui permettront des équipements de court terme et donc de manière plus immédiate. La décision ensuite de règles plus flexibles du pacte de stabilité et de croissance permettra de libérer des investissements de défense au niveau national par les États membres. Plusieurs programmes du budget européen, notamment les fonds structurels, sont repriorisés par la Commission pour pouvoir être utilisés là aussi sur les dépenses en matière de défense.
What does this then mean for Russia and Vladimir Putin? Times Now's Madhavdas Gopalakrishnan spoke to the Russian ambassador to India, Denis Alipov.
So thank you so much, and let me begin by asking you the developments that took place. We saw the arguments, we saw the statements that were made inside the White House when there was that meeting between President Donald Trump, Vice President J.D. Vance, and President Zelensky. How does Russia view the kind of developments that have taken place, and of course what has happened since?
Well, if we speak about that particular meeting, I would say it would have been amusing had it not been about the lives of the people. Simply put, Zelensky basically came to Washington and said that he was prepared for peace. But first, Russia needs to withdraw. Military and financial aid to Ukraine should continue. And there should be security guarantees provided for Ukraine. Obviously, this position contradicted to what the US approach is at the moment, and I believe one should not be surprised that Trump was disappointed with that position articulated by Zelensky. Needless to say, all these demands are unacceptable to Russia.
In the Middle East too, Donald Trump has pressed for ceasefire, and there is a three-phase ceasefire that is currently underway. The first phase is just concluded, but peace between Hamas and Israel has been fragile.
So we're working very hard in the Middle East and Gaza and all of the problems, and it's been going on for years and years and centuries and centuries. It's a tough neighborhood, but it could be a very beautiful neighborhood, and I think we're going to come up with some pretty good solutions. But phase one is almost complete. We've had some people that have been very seriously injured, very seriously hurt, both physically and mentally. They've come out of there and some of them in very, very bad shape. It's shocking. Many young people aren't in bad shape. Young people are strong, healthy. They don't die. People have come out dead, young people and old people. It's a rough situation, but I think we're going to make it much better, and I think that we've had a huge impact on that since we've been in just the 4 weeks. I think we've had a huge impact on Gaza, the Middle East, and we have some pretty good talks going on concerning lots of other people that are going to make it better. So we'll see what happens. Nobody really knows, but we'll see what happens. But I think we've had a very positive impact.
Both sides have been arguing that the other is not keeping its side of the bargain. Donald Trump has now warned Hamas to release all hostages and return the bodies of those who've been killed. Else, Trump has said, they'll be held to pay. Donald Trump has also spoken big on tariffs, deciding to impose them on Canada, China and Mexico, while deciding upon discussions with his Canadian and Mexican counterparts that some of them would not be implemented right away, providing some relief. But he appears to be following through on his claim that he will rectify what are unfair terms of trade that America has had to live with for a long time.
The tariffs, as you know, will start a week earlier than the reciprocal, which is going to be on a couple of weeks earlier. Reciprocal tariffs start on April 2nd. And I wanted to make it April 1st, but I didn't want to go April Fool's Day, because that costs a lot of money, but that one day. But so we're going April 2nd. But very importantly, tomorrow tariffs 25% on Canada and 25% on Mexico, and that'll start. So they're going to have a tariff. So what they have to do is build their car plants, frankly, and other things in the United States, in which case they have no tariffs. In other words, you build, and this is exactly what Mr. Wei is doing, by building here. Otherwise, they'll build, if they did them in Taiwan to send them here, they'll have 25% or 30% or 50% or whatever the number may be someday. It'll go only up. But by doing it here, he has no tariff, so he's way ahead of the game. And I would just say this to people in Canada or Mexico: if they're going to build car plants, the people that are doing them are much better off building here, because we have the market. We're the market where they sell the most. And so I think it's going to be very exciting for the automobile companies.
On the tariffs, is there any room left for Canada and Mexico to make a deal before midnight? And should we expect those Chinese tariffs, the extra 10%, to take
No room left for Mexico or for Canada. No, the tariffs, they're all set. They go into effect tomorrow.
Mr. President, just to follow up on my colleague's question.
And just so you understand, vast amounts of fentanyl have poured into our country from Mexico. And as you know, also from China, where it goes to Mexico and goes to Canada. And China also had an additional 10, so it's 10 plus 10. And it comes in from Canada and it comes in from Mexico, and that's a very important thing to say. Yeah, please go.
Mr. President, tariffs take effect. It'll be 20% on China now. How high are you willing to go against China?
Well, I can't say. It depends on what they do with their currency. It depends on what they do in terms of a retaliation, with some kind of an economic retaliation, which I don't think they're going to retaliate too much. Hey, look.
This also includes India, and he's been quite critical about our tariff regime and said that America will soon begin the imposition of reciprocal tariffs. However, the two countries, following Prime Minister Narendra Modi's meeting with Trump in February, have agreed to negotiate a bilateral trade agreement. It remains to be seen if Trump follows through on his threat, or if there is a deal struck that has terms favorable to both nations.
Traditionally, India is right at the top of the pack, pretty much. There are a couple of smaller countries that are actually more, but India is they charge tremendous tariffs. I remember when Harley Davidson couldn't sell their motorbikes into India because of the fact that India, the tax was so high, the tariff was so high. And Harley was forced to build, I guess they built, I don't know, that was a while ago, but I think they built a factory in India in order to avoid paying the tariffs. And that's what people can do with us. They can build a factory here, a plant or whatever it might be here, and that includes the medical, that includes cars, that includes chips and semiconductors.
It is quite apparent that Trump's foreign policy will not only be rooted in realpolitik that is favorable to American interests, but one where his primary domestic promises do not get compromised. The rest of the world will have to deal with an America that will clearly not overextend itself.